Hello YouTube and welcome into another video where today I'm going to give you my Dragon Age the Veilguard review. It is time. It's been 2 weeks since I beat the game and I've sat with it, thought about it, and now it's time to talk about it, of course. Some context, the Veilguard is the first Dragon Age game I have played. It's the second BioWare game I played. I played Mass Effect Andromeda, did not beat it, but got pretty far into it. Which, you know, is what it is. I'm new to the franchise, and ultimately, I feel like this game, Dragon Age: The Veilguard, is made kind of for a player like myself. I'm new to the franchise, and I'm more accustomed to the action game genre than the deep tactical RPG genre, which it sounds like Inquisition was a little more. It sounded like you were telling your companions kind of more what to do and like where to go, as opposed to what it is in the Veilguard. You also controlled your companions in Inquisition. I didn't play it, but this is what I hear about it and what people talk about. You were able to control your companions as well. So in Veilguard, you only control Rook, your character. So you're not. So it's very different in that regard, right? But yeah, I feel like this game was just made for a player like me who doesn't know what Dragon Age is, a little more casual in that way. This is a kind of an onboarding into that, which, hey, is what it is. Some people like that. Some people didn't land well with them. But overall, I did enjoy playing the hell out of Dragon Age: The Veilguard, and it really is because of the combat gameplay specifically. I played the warrior class. I ended up playing my character real quick as a dwarf. I went with a crow background. And once, hey, if you know, you know, there's that crow mask. Once I found that crow mask, I did not want to take it off. I didn't take it off for a good chunk of the middle portion of the game, and I ended up only taking it off for cutscenes because I wanted to see my person's face, see the animations and whatnot. But that crow mask was very good, especially when Balar is talking about her brother, who she thinks is who's dead, and she's getting sad and emotional, and the camera turns around and it's just my crow just staring at her, bug-eyed. It's amazing. So I love that really much. That had nothing to do with the warrior class. That just had to do with being the crow background and having that access to that mask, which is just so good. But the gameplay flow for the warrior class ended up being very active. By the end, the flow, for example, was I dash in for some swipes of the sword. I triggered my rune, which would give enemies in range the weakened status. I'd swipe some more off, do some damage, have the companions do some damage then. Then I do my other ability, which left enemies in range overwhelmed. So again, allowed you doing some other damage. That also let my companion and the love of my life, Harding, the opportunity. It gave her that opportunity to use her ability to weaken the overwhelmed target. Then as that happened, I would tell Balara to use her weak ability to put weakened on the target. Then I would drop kick the enemy, detonating that as they detonated already from the other thing. And with a drop kick, I often angled it to send them flying over the edge to their eventual death, which was amazing. You were able to kick so many enemies, regardless of size. I was surprised with how many the size of the enemies they let you kick, and you were able to kick more than one. If there were like 2 or 3 enemies bunched up close enough, your drop kick would hit them as well, and you would send multiple enemies flying off the ledge or just back, which was amazing, and detonating them, of course. I ended up switching companions a lot, so that flow really changed, but I found myself going back to those 2 companions because they, I think they also had one of them staggered and the other, or sundered. One of them put sundered status effect on enemies and the other one triggered that. So they had a thing that helped each other, and then they both helped me with my abilities and detonations and whatnot. So that's kind of the flow I ended up with the warrior class. Those are the companions I ended up liking. But I did spend a lot of time with all of them. I ended up getting all of them in the game. Your companion status, there's a point in the game where, spoilers, this is a spoiler review now. Towards the point of the game where kind of where you're maxing out your relationship status, so to speak. You can get each companion once you complete their quest to be hero to get hero of the Veilguard status, and that's kind of completing their quest line, maxing them out, so to speak. And that's so I got all but one to that status, and that was Nev because I didn't save Minrathous. That's one of the early story points. I didn't save Minrathous, so Nev didn't like me anymore, which was a bummer. But yeah, so that's that. Now to talk about a little bit of what I had issues with in Dragon Age: The Veilguard. Unfortunately, the story never got there for me. Overall, that I kept playing the game. I was streaming the whole game, and that's really why I ended up not. That's why it took me so long to play it, honestly. But the story just never got there. I felt like the companions quest lines overall were really good. I feel like they had good dialogue in it. There are some cheesy lines and like surface level stuff every now and then, but I felt like that kind of just was the whole aesthetic of the game, which if it wasn't your thing, I get it. It didn't really bother me too much at times. But if it felt like when, especially with the companions, like we got to that moment and then it kind of just was there, right? I guess I wanted more resolution, and I feel like overall that's kind of why the game fell flat to me. Is even the main story, the resolution is very quick. Once you get to the boss, you fight the boss. Overall, the boss fight I felt was very simple and cheesy, or not cheesy, but very simple for me. I was maxed out on level though, so I wonder if that I was level 50, and I wonder if that had to do with anything. And I had a really good lock on that flow that I already explained earlier. So I feel like that kind of ended up being the reason why that last boss fight wasn't that difficult for me. I don't want to knock that on the game too much. But the main thing being, once that boss fight ends, the resolution to the narrative is just quick. It's kind of, all right, you beat them. Here's a motion graphic of your companions, and we're telling you what they're doing next and all the people you helped along the way and help you out in this fight against the gods, and game over. Like, that was kind of just over. So it left me feeling a little like, oh, all right. It fell flat, unfortunately, for me, and I really feel like that's why I'm not as high on the story of this game and whatnot. Also, the decisions in this game I feel were pretty binary, pretty straightforward. Like I mentioned earlier, with the Nev being not happy with me. She never got hero status, hero of the Veilguard status. She was hardened against me because the first big choice you have to make is one of the gods, Gillenane, is attacking Minrathous and attacking Treviso. There's two things going on at the same time, and you have to choose which one to go to. And my background's a crow from Treviso, so that kind of led me there anyways. But Treviso was like a poor city already under like siege, already like occupied. So it made a little more sense anyways to me to go to Treviso, where Minrathous was already set up for a defense, you know? So that kind of felt weird because from that point on, Nev was really angry with me, and I didn't even like Nev that much from the beginning, and that kind of solidified that. So yeah, it was hard to get her back to that status, but that's that. It was cool for one thing because it did leave Minrathous like completely changed after that moment. It was completely destroyed. That faction, the Shadow Dragons, I never got to get like level them up. I didn't have access to their store anymore. So that was interesting and cool. But again, it's just a simple choice, right? It's not like the story in the game is littered with them, where that was fascinating because they're building upon each other. I hate to compare it to Baldur's Gate 3 because it's unfair. They're very different scope. Clearly the games have different scopes and intentions, but Baldur's Gate, one decision built into another, and then like I was literally playing it last night. They're referencing, stuff from the Grove in the very first section of the game. If you played it, stuff I did in the Grove were being referenced later in the game, and I know, oh wow, like you're like the fourth party to mention that, and y'all aren't intersecting to my knowledge yet, but they're all referencing each other. That's not in this game, right? So it is what it is. That's what I kind of mean by Veilguard being very binary. It seems like here's a choice. All right, that's the path you're on. If you chose the other, that would be the path you're on. And ultimately, they're ending at the same point, right? With just various switches and changes. So it's like a Mad Lib. Stick with me. Where the context and the players may change, but the overall story being told is going to be the same. which it is what it is, right? And I feel like that's why I say this game is intended for a player new to the franchise like myself and someone more accustomed to action game, more accustomed to those type of action genre games as opposed to a deep tactical RPG game, because they're just different, right? This is a little more surface level in that regard, which is not a bad thing at all. This game is, I had so much fun with this game. I do wish the narrative had a little more, but it is what it is. But yeah, I truly enjoyed my time playing with it. But I think because there's limited moments to make those meaningful choices and for them to actually feel good and not feel like option A or option B, it falls flat at the end of the day. Art style to talk more good about the game. I like the art style. There's only one character that felt a little cartoony, Pixar-y. But other than that, I like the art style. I like the more artistic approach, a stylized approach, as opposed to just, hey, we're gonna go for realism. Use those resources other places. Make a game a little more gameplay intensive as opposed to just looking really good. I think we're gonna get past the the realistic looking graphics. There's a place for them, but not in every game. So I like this overall art style. The maps I thought were good. Side quests in those zones did use the zones a lot. Like you were walking back to them, but I didn't think it was that crazy of a thing. It kind of made sense enough for me. I didn't feel like it was just, oh, we're here again. Oh, we're back here again. Oh, we're here again. So it wasn't like that, but they did use the zones they made and reuse them a little bit. But yeah, companions overall, their quest lines were good. But I don't think there was anything that really grabbed me and gripped me. My rook being a dwarf, I related to Harding, who was also a dwarf, and her storyline of getting these Titan abilities, which were like what the dwarves were made of. They were from the Titan essence or something. I don't know the lore. Sorry if I'm wrong about that. So like it made sense for my character just to fall in with that. And it was like, yeah, I do want to help you understand this thing. So that was kind of the role playing for me on that. But other than that, yeah, I mean, I liked Emmerich's quest line was good. I saved Manfred. Manfred was just great. Amazing. His little butler guy saved Manfred. Couldn't imagine turning. Emmerich would never. I could never have Emmerich turn into a lich not to save Manfred. No, he's gonna. Emmerich accepted his fear of death to save Manfred. But yeah, so overall, there wasn't a ton of meaningful choices, like I said. So I think that's my main issue with this game. It falls flat in how I feel, but for an overall story of Rook and like choosing how you get from point A to point Z, all right, like it's a fun game. It's a good tale. It's a good story. It's a fun action fantasy game with some cool abilities. The warrior class is fun, and there's 2 more to try. So if I haven't played them, or I tried out mage for like an hour on another character, but that's all I've played, so I don't think it counts to have really a good opinion on that class. But yeah, if those 2 classes can keep up the flow and the fun that the warrior class had, like, hey, that's pretty solid, and this is a good game just to have a fun time. And but yeah, it's definitely not a Baldur's Gate or I'm trying to think, like even like a Fallout level narrative stuff. I mean, like probably Fallout 3 style, Fallout 4. Anyways, that's that. So I recommend this game, especially if you're new to the franchise and you've been, especially if you like God of War. I didn't mention that. Like the combat is, and the developer has like said that the most recent God of War 2018 and Ragnarok were references for the combat, definitely inspiration. So you feel that with the warrior class, especially. You also got a shield. I didn't even talk about that. You were able to throw your shield, which was amazing, and then bounce that off. So much fun. Captain America, basically, with an axe or a sword. So much fun. But that's enough rambling, because that's going to end it, right? I do recommend this game. It's a fun time. Try it out, especially if it's on sale. I think it's hard to say right now, buy it when it's $70 if it's full price. But on a sale, especially 50% off, I think it's worth it if you're looking to sink your time into a fun combat focused action RPG game with a decent story and some interesting companions. The story is there, the depth is there especially if you read kind of the letters and such. But yeah, it's in that stuff. It's not kind of told to you. It's a little more. It's I think it has a modern day writing, and I think I saw another review. I saw a review say that, and I think, or maybe someone on Twitter just complaining. Who knows? So many people do that. But yeah, I think maybe that's part of the oddness in the dialogue and the writing is because it's using modern day language in this fantasy setting. So maybe that's what it is. But anyway, now I'm rambling again. Yeah, thank you for listening to this review. Again, on my reviews, I know I've been calling it a review, but this video, you already know this. It's going to be called like my thoughts on Dragon Age of Veilguard, because I don't think I like doing reviews and putting numbers on it. I don't view myself in that regard of like, here are metrics and things and a number and such. Like, I'm not trying to do that. If someone wants to pay me to do that, I will gladly put a number on a thing. Show me the check though, hire me, right? But for myself, yeah, I'm just going to do like my thoughts. So, I mean, I'll recommend a game if I think it. I'll tell you, is it good on, this is what I do. Is it good on sale? Is it worth it on sale? There's a price, 25%, 50, all right. Less than like 60, 70, okay, now you're talking. This is a great experience for $20, $25, $30, right? So that's kind of how I view games. So that's kind of how I'm going to talk about them. I think I'm going to do these as like, here are my thoughts on Dragon Age of the Veilguard, more conversational. In the future, hey, if you're watching this and you're like, I like this, I want to talk too. I'm so down to have this be a conversation as opposed to just me talking, but I'm also going to talk as well. So anyways, if you're still listening to this, now you know what's coming up. You understand why it's called My Thoughts. And these are my thoughts on Dragon Age the Veilguard. So thanks for hanging out. There's going to be more thoughts about different games coming on up, especially into the new year, 2025 is. We intend to be a little more intentional about this channel and our content. So if you want to be part of that grind and part of supporting it, please drop a like, drop a follow, drop a comment. It helps the algorithm and tells me what I should keep doing, but also that I should keep doing it. And it's nice. And it's real easy to do. It's free to do those things. So help me out. Thank you. Anyways, see you in the next video. Bye-bye.